Yeah, no, this book has a way of taking you deep into the heart, bringing some awareness in there, so
Yeah.
you can see which way the traffic is going. Impulses are going that way, love's going that way, emotions are going that way, and thoughts are going that way. And to be in there and actually choose the freeway you want to take, you know, or really probably the little alleyway.
Maybe it's a
That's probably the
freeway
best.
for you. I'm paying a lot of tolls.
Yeah.
I don't think you heard that.
You know, I've mentioned this before, but I don't know if I have on the on the Zoom session. But when Rick Chapman went to India, met Baba in 1966, I believe, and Rick was a real seeker. He was a serious, you know, very serious, and he was in there in Mandalay Hall, with his interview with Baba, and it was one of the things that Baba said to him is, forget about spirituality, forget about spiritual experience, forget about the planes of consciousness. And Rick felt in that moment Baba relieved him of thousands of miles of travel on the spiritual freeway up through the planes of consciousness to the realization. He would have gone kind of the spiritual route. But what I think, at the beginning of this freeway, there's a little side road that goes off of the freeway through some wooded area and eventually links up with the approach road to Merazad, which is the Sufi lane of love, I think. And then at the end is the Sufi tavern. And there it's about being effaced or dissolved in Baba. And the freeway is about realizing your spiritual potential. So Baba is offering a little bypass there. I mean, a major bypass.
Know how to get us there?
What's that?
Do you know how to get us there?
Well, we are, I mean, Baba, the way we're living our lives, we're along that path. We're not having any, you know, great exalted experiences. You know, Erish used to say that, quote Baba frequently, to be natural is most godly. To be natural is not to be spiritual is most godly. To be natural is most godly. So that path, that little side road, is the path of naturalness, I would say. And Darwin used to say, sooner or later you discover you're nobody, and that is not an unhappy discovery. You empty out and Baba fills you. So we are very fortunate that we're not on the freeway.
Yeah, you're right.
Just
We're very fortunate.
when I first went to India, I had in mind that you know, the Mandali would be these spiritual giants because they'd spent their whole lives with God himself. And I was so relieved to find they were like my favorite aunts and uncles, deeply human rather than spiritual in how I conceive spirituality. Deeply human. Yeah. That was the beautiful, great relief. And they knew us so well.
Jeff, last week you made a little comment I thought was interesting. You were talking about the fact that we had to wake Meher Baba within us. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you made the comment that even Meher Baba used to say, "You need to wake me up within you." And
Yeah.
I was reading something this week, and they were referring to the biblical story of Jesus being in the boat when there was the storm with his disciples.
Yeah.
And they made mention that in that story, Jesus was asleep in the boat and the disciples had to wake him up. And I thought, isn't that interesting? That's just like Mayor Baba's process.
Hey, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought it was,
You have to wake up the awakener.
yeah,
That's
wake up to the awakener.
yeah. No, Erich used to say, for years, Bob was saying, I have come not to teach, but to awaken. And they thought it referred to them. But then after years and years, they realized I've come not to teach, but to awaken myself in you. A slightly different meaning.
Oh,
So the title of this little blurb is Transform Lower Self into Higher Self. Someone asked Hafiz what spirituality meant, and he answered in one ode, unless you go against your lower self, you cannot unite with your higher self. Now, what is the lower self? That which makes you think you are small, that which makes you feel that you're not satisfied, not happy, that which makes others see you as small. So, the meaning of going against the lower self is to transform this in quite the opposite direction. Be that which makes you look big and makes others see you as big. Remain pleased and contented, happy and satisfied. When you are displeased, unhappy, or upset and moody, it is your lower self asserting itself. People always put the blame for their dissatisfaction and suffering on others. But the fact is, when one suffers, it is one's own fault. So this is in context with Mansari, and the next few lines puts that in context here. Mansari became excited. She was angry and suffered, and she laid it all on Elizabeth, Norina, and Lucky. But if she had gone beyond the lower self, she would have taken it calmly, swallowed it, and remained unaffected. If you are firm, nothing will upset you. If you try, you will surely have it. I do not want any repression, but I do want transformation. I never for one moment say that you must not get angry. Don't be confused. You must get angry when the occasion arises. But at once, you must get it out of your head. If you're not hungry, to fast has no meaning. This is from Lord Meher, page 2143, and there's another quote in the end that says, spiritual freedom has to be won by oneself, for oneself, through watchful and unfailing war against the lower self and the lower desires.
Beautiful. Thank you, Shraddha. And I think since not everybody is here, it would be nice to read it at the end too. Yeah. So it reminds me very much of what the way Darwin used to talk. Okay. Shall we have a few moments of silence? Is this a good time?
Sure is.
Jai Baba. So anyway, we're coming down to the last, Angela says, last 6 pages of this wonderful classic of that Darwin has written. I mean, he wrote it, as you probably all know, in his 90s. So this is a distillation of a whole life with Baba. And, we've been on this for something like 6 or 7 months. And, I mean, it's been a journey into the heart. It's expanded my heart all the more. And, Darwin, and I hope that's happened for all of you. I'm sure it has. And Darwin used to talk about creating inner space. So we have something, we can see what's going on the inside rather than just being a victim of impulses and thoughts and emotions and everything. We get a little bit of space between ourselves and our impulses and everything. So, and I've been, this might be the last time we'll probably finish the book today, but I wanted to say that, I've been very inspired by all of you and how beautifully you've shared about your life with Baba, how you remember him. That's helped me. I learn, I find ways that help me in my remembrance, and I've got a lot of it from these sessions. Erich used to say that we're all in the same boat, and but usually you don't get to meet your fellow passengers quite like this. So here we're all in the same boat, and there's a camaraderie, and you get to see and share with your fellow passengers. So that's a beautiful thing. And Erich was once asked, "Is Baba going to become a religion?" And Erich said Baba was adamant that it not become a religion. And so he would say, how can that be averted? And Erich said, if my lovers would get together in small groups and share their mystical experiences, it could be avoided. And this was the early 70s. He said mystical experiences, but I do feel later on he would have said sharing our inner experiences with Baba. And you can't make a religion out of, everybody has such a unique way. You're not going to be able to make a religion out of this type of situation. And you won't even be able to organize it except on Zoom. But everybody has a different way. In fact, the Sufis have said that there are as many paths to God as there are souls of individuals. And Darwin is describing one of the major ways of following Baba based on the discourses. But there are other ways that are equally valid. And so what he's done, I feel, is he's kind of kept us in the realm of the heart repeatedly, chapter after chapter. You can go up into your mind for a while, but he keeps bringing you back into your heart. And we're going from head down to the heart, and from the superficial heart to the deeper aspects of the heart. And eventually, as we were coming in the last couple of chapters, where the divine qualities are recognized and seen deep within, the divine qualities that come directly from Baba into the deeper innermost part of our heart. And eventually consciousness falls in love with those divine qualities and Baba's presence. And before you know it, we're moving, as Darwin used the word merge, we merge more and more into Baba. And eventually, I picture Baba will be there awaiting us with outstretched arms, a big smile on his face, giving us a standing ovation when we get through this. And, hopefully we get through it before November 3rd. So anyway, I'm going to read, I'm going to read some of the divine qualities. There are many divine qualities, but that's who we actually are, really are deep down. This is our nature. And I'm going to read some of them. Empathy, humor, patience, forgiveness, insight, enthusiasm, kindness, generosity, honesty, intuition, poise. Those are just some of the divine qualities that are flowing into us at the deepest level. And I'm going to read, this is an interesting quote that I saw recently from Erich. It's an unusual quote from Erich, but it kind of fits in with this book. Erich said, life is a joy with him. Without him, it is not. Joy is living with him. This is the new life. You're living from the heart, not the mind. He is the deeper self. There is no one to love but yourself. with a capital Y. There is no one to love but yourself with a capital Y. The self is God. The capital self is God. Love yourself more and more. This is your inner being. I never heard him speak quite that way. So it's we're an integral part of this. Anyway, let's. Angela is going to look around the field and get some unsuspecting innocent person to read. And feel free to share your own experience of what how you relate to what Darwin has said. So like I say, this is the last few pages of this book. Okay.
All right. So we're on chapter 21, right at the beginning, page 116 of the PDF. That's page 69.
Chapter 21, The Treasure in Our Hands. I bring the greatest treasure it is possible for man to receive, a treasure that includes all other treasures, that will endure forever, that increases when shared with others. Be ready to receive it. Meher Baba. Meher Baba as Messiah or Avatar is the divine catalyst that becomes the gateway to the goal, to God. When people want to know what are the special features of God appearing as the Messiah, as Christ, as Meher Baba, I have to say that it is more than the superb explanations that Baba gave. The real value of contacting him is the beatific vision, if one has the good fortune to receive that. It is a matter of the degree to which one apprehends who he really is. One day in 1954, I suddenly perceived Baba as being very strongly the Christ. He then shot me the most penetrating look I think I have ever received from him. It was as though he was surprised that someone saw so deeply past his masquerade. Meher Baba could, and sometimes did, most lovingly lift some of his veils, giving us glimpses of his measureless, luminous love and allowing us to merge with him in the spirit. He showed us more effectively than any teaching could ever convey that divine love dissolves separation and unites, that divine love is indeed the way to union with our divine beloved. So the greatest teaching Meher Baba ever gave us was actually not a teaching at all. The greatest teaching he gave us was on those special occasions when, through his great love for us, he would let us see into the very essence of his being and actually draw us into the divine sweetness and soul enlivening beauty that he is.
One thing that one thing I'm struck by where Baba says, increases when shared with others. I think that's very significant, that it's not just kind of being alone in the mountains and collecting your liberation on your own, nobody knowing about it. That give and take of love is an intimate part of this journey with Baba. Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
No, I was just remembering early on, but it's happened several times in my life, Baba. These moments, you didn't work for them. He gave it. He gave you the ability to see him for a moment or two, to see him who he truly is. I remember for me, one of the earliest ones was when I was at the center for the first time, or one of the first times, and saw Baba walking on film. I'd never seen him moving. And when he moved, he was absolutely the Christ, and I had no doubt about it. I had never seen him move before. So when I saw that, it was like very, very special. There was just no doubt. My heart completely opened up. And those moments, one lives for those moments, in a sense, recognition of the avatar for who he truly is, because most of the time I'm veiled, at least to some extent. My faith may have grown, but those moments of knowing of truth, those are the moments to live for. Thanks.
Beautiful. Yeah. No, that's those are the the gems that kind of fall on our lap every once in a while.
I'm just the last part about his divine sweetness and soul enlivening beauty that he is, which is really what Gabriella also was referring to. I mean, there's nothing a teaching could have done to draw me to him. It's just, he has an infinite number of ways to touch me that I mean, it's just impossible to ignore. At a certain point, you just feel like, you can listen to other people and their experiences, but then you have your own. And if you're at all, sort of if you can tune yourself into it, you have it every day, all the time. And now I'm just enjoying, for example, I'm looking at the wall in front of me where I have a picture of Baba and my 3 grandchildren. And I'm looking at each one of them and I'm seeing Baba in their hearts. I mean, it's like they hardly know really anything about him, but I can look at them and just see him coming right out of their hearts. I mean, it's so sweet. So just so many ways.
Beautiful.
I'm just going to chime in the same way that I think Jeff and the others are chiming in. For me, this weekend, the new life and all the participation that I've experienced with others around the new life has brought a greater depth of realizing that he is the giver of the love that we're experiencing, and that the accumulation of the new life and listening to so many people speak, and I've been on YouTube a lot all weekend, and it has brought me to this place of reflecting on, I didn't get to the center, but maybe once a year, and I only speak to Baba lovers maybe, once every couple of weeks. And I'm feeling like I have right now, through the Zoom and through the COVID, been available to more inspiration by sharing Baba or listening to the sharing of Baba, which is what is really striking me about this, is the treasure is so rich right now. It's richer than I think I've ever experienced it. And the feeling is really, seriously, and I feel like it's the greatest time of my life with Baba, because I am able to really get a glimpse of who he is and how it's his reaching in and pulling us all together in that fountain and ocean of love. It's just really, it's spectacular right now. So Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are the fellow passengers in the boat.
I just feel so happy to be hearing this because, I mean, we have been for a while now and all, but I remember so well when it felt like if I shared a kind of mystical experience that I was like emptying out the energy of it, that it was like I was going to lose it. And I think I knew other people that definitely felt like it was too personal or they shouldn't share it and that kind of thing. And it just feels like such a great wave of transformation towards all of us sharing all of these, and just how much it does increase for all of us the experience. So I'm just appreciative of that.
Yeah. 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 So true.
I just remember bringing a woman that I worked with to the center, and we went to the movies on Saturday, and I went to play music with some friends, and she went back to the cabin. So by the time I got back to the cabin and I opened the door, she was lying on the bed in the dark, weeping. And I came in and I said, "What, Liz, what's wrong? What's going on?" And she said, "I never knew he could be so personal."
Yeah.
And she just kept weeping. I mean, the film just triggered that knowing in her, that recognition in her of the personal God. And she had never had that. So it was just right instantaneous treasure for her and me.
Beautiful. Thanks. Very touching. Wow.
Avatar Meher Baba did not come to move us only a little bit. He came to move us completely to liberation. So we must have his intervention and grace and his inner working and manipulation with us at inner levels in order to bring what is buried in the subconscious to the surface, where it can be dealt with by the conscious mind and intelligently disposed of or dissolved. Baba's will for us is that we be free, no longer victimized by the opposites of the dual realm. He has come to the prison, he has opened the door, and he is asking us to come out. Through the activity of his grace, veils are torn away and light is revealed. What he brings about is not independent about any conditions, so it is important that we believe in him and what he can do for us. If we are sincere strivers, he gives us help with everything. This is one of the great works of Meher Baba with us individuals. It is not simply a matter of our accumulating more virtue on the surface, but of digging out all the roots of the problems of ignorance that create lust, greed, anger, and selfishness in the individual. Our objective is to live free of ego consciousness. We have to work at it. It is important to understand that our efforts are for the purpose of becoming subservient to and sustained by Baba's ever-flowing love, grace, instead of remaining subservient to and sustained by our own sanskaras, our conditioning.
I mean, I have to be honest that I don't know whether this is the deeper level or the upper level, but of the heart. The gratitude I feel is so great that I'm sad to say goodbye to this group. And when I was listening to Nasharwan on yesterday morning, I guess, and he was talking about our families now becoming, the Baba family becoming our family. And I really haven't ever felt like that so much before as I have being with this group. I feel like I actually have a Baba. I mean, I know Baba lovers, but now I feel like I actually have a Baba association, a family. And so Baba's giving me both experiences right now at once. I could weep from the thought of being done with this book, and that only reason for that is because of the deep gratitude and love I feel behind that. So thank you, everybody, every single person. Jai Baba.
I was just where it says about, I forget what it says, but he was talking about it brings something different to us. I've been with Baba 36 years, and people who knew me 36 years ago barely recognize me. I'm not the person I was. The person I was hopefully has gone bye-bye. But it's like Baba has come in and totally changed me. And oh my God, I'm so thankful for that. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, beautiful. I think we've all undergone incredible change, transformation. Just even the parents who were very skeptical about their kids following this guru from 10,000 miles away, but over the years they saw such an improvement in their kids, and how their life got straightened out, that they had nothing but gratitude to Baba for how much he has helped their kids.
Yeah. And Cindy, go ahead.
I love this line at the end of the paragraph or the chapter. It is important to understand that our efforts are for the purpose of becoming subservient to and sustained by Baba's ever-flowing love grace, instead of remaining subservient to and sustained by our own sanskaras, our conditioning. And that subservient to Baba, like that quote where he says, our egos are to be working and provisional and entirely subservient to the master. I say that as much as I can. My ego it's healthy, it's working and provisional and entirely subservient to the master. So whatever that is, and when reading that just there, I thought about that what that means, being subservient to is ever flowing love grace rather than the mine, yours, that causes me to suffer. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. And that's why those divine qualities are so valuable, because we know what they are, and to be subservient to those instead of our lower self, so to speak, is a beautiful pathway to
And
Baba.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. And with that, I was thinking, like, I had the feeling last time, and then this time thinking this is the end of effort and grace. And I had, I think, a feeling of ego loss and attachment, ego attachment and loss. And then I just thought, and then we read that, and I just thought, well, yes, it was, whatever's to be is to be. I'm a 100% proponent, of all of Cindy to do this, to continue this and hold the energy, especially at this time and space on the planet. And if not, that's Baba's will. Like there's not going to be a lack of ever flowing love grace from the ego, like that gets attached to it. And then when I was like, and I was just like, okay, Baba, like, okay, this has been the best church I've ever attended on Sunday in my 55 years. And and then the thought that there might be that, I just think Baba plays with us. It's like, just to make sure that we're not getting attached, because the ego is such a many-headed hydra that reforms on anything, and to let it freely come and freely go, so that I don't even get attached to this. I think that is where we're being subservient to and sustained by Baba's grace rather than our sanskaras.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I don't think you can go wrong. I don't think you can get attached to this, because the whole point of this is a detachment through love. Okay, anybody else? Ooh.
Yeah, Ray Spagnola.
Hi, it was the same phrase that Cindy had just pointed out. And I just had the thought after that, is being subservient to, why are we at first, when we don't know about Baba or anything else but our own selfishness, where we are pursuing these, our own saskaras, our conditioning, because it makes us feel good, or we're trying to feel good. So once we find out about Baba, well, we like feeling good, and he's making us feel good in a way that is divine. So it's funny how it's almost like a no-brainer. Eventually, you have to come to the conclusion that, wow, when I was following my own ego, I was beating myself up to try and be happy. And now all I have to do is just be willing to be servient to someone's love for me. Duh. Right. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Beautiful. Great, Ray. Yeah. There,
That is
there was a line from Darwin. He used to say, you have to be, I can't remember exactly, circumspect about what sanskaras you succumb to. So the divine ones are the ones to succumb to. Yeah.
That's an interesting concept. And Marion?
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. You know, I'm on the phone, but I can see everyone, and I appreciate each comment. And as we were reading this, and a part of my process where I am is that for many decades, I've seen certain personality characteristics of where I'm in my mask. And, you know, in the world of duality, there's two sides of the coin, and before they can be dissolved and integrated into the unitive state, they both have to be experienced. So mine was being the good girl and doing the right things and saying the right things, and that was a mask on one side of the coin of being submissive. And knowing the other side of the coin, I learned through my training and all my professional work, is aggression. And so to be truly self-assertive, I have to go through aggression. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to expose that to anybody. And so I've worked on this for years. And when I got to this paragraph, the one about this is one of the great works of Mayor Baba, you know, it says it's not simply a matter of accumulating more virtue on the surface, but of digging out all the roots of the problems of ignorance that create lust, greed, anger, and selfishness in the individual. And I thought, yay, at last, I'm reading it in here. Not that I haven't read it other places, but because this is what I'm doing with the one I've known, because Baba gives me the roadmap. And so I know that I'm only being triggered by those that I have deepest karmic connections with, that I am now releasing all karmic attachments. And Baba's taking me through that territory and gives me the gift of knowing at times where I am in that territory. And so to be going to with those I love most, children, grandchildren, and nobody's turning up the way I want them to be. Everybody's letting me down because I have so many expectations. And to give that, I have to do that every day, giving it over to Baba, release it energetically, and I make a statement. I'm being triggered. Nobody else caused it in me. And when I let out that aggressive side, I just feel like I look at Baba's photograph, it's smiling at me like, good work, Marion, because I then, you know, say my intention is to release what has been stored within me many lifetimes so that I may be open to your light, love, and light. And it's a rigorous. And so to read it here, it was very supportive. And I thought, well, great. I was glad to get that.
Beautiful. No, that's the whole thing there, Marion. He's emptying us out so he can move in.
Yes, absolutely. And it's I heard Baba once say internally, you know, with a sly smile internally in me, and nobody said it would be a bed of roses. I laughed. Certainly is not. Okay.
And Laurice.
Hi everyone, Jay Baba.
Hey, Baba.
So the line that stood out to me was, it's not simply a matter of our accumulating more virtue on the surface, but of digging out all the roots of the problems of ignorance that create lust, greed, anger, and selfishness in the individual. I would actually add fear too. And our objective is to live free of ego consciousness. We have to work at it. I guess that's the effort, right? And for me, that, you know, there's the ego just loves to reassert itself, and sometimes it's other people's stuff, right? I tend to be very an empath. I can end up taking on other people's stuff energetically. And I think it's just growing up with kind of poor boundaries in an alcoholic family. And so part of, it's daily for me, it's daily connecting with Baba, giving Baba my life. And then when that stuff pops up, taking it to Baba, throwing my hands up in the air. Look what you've got here, Baba. It's like there's layers for me. I'm definitely not as, like someone else said, I'm a completely different person than I was years ago. But, even on my way to getting to Baba, my spiritual path, I didn't even have a spiritual path before that, but there's still layers, there's still parts that resurface. And I would love to say that I would get there to, there's definitely periods, there's times when I know my ego's moved aside and Baba's at work, but there's a lot of times where ego smashes back in. And I think that for me, it's a daily, sometimes several times a day process, because it's like my brain is programmed, like with some of this old stuff. So, and of course, he releases a lot of sanskaras, or bala, or whatever. Then he'll release things at the rate Baba wants to release things. So there's the work of the consciousness and giving it to Baba and making amends when I need to make amends, making living amends, and then also just the grace that can come too. But I really related to that as a fallible human being. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. There's a line, there was a guy in Myrtle Beach named Mark Palmer. He was from Chicago originally. He said, Baba's 12-step program. You take one step toward him and he takes 11 steps toward you.
It's great.
And Elizabeth Sutherland.
I think Maurice said something like what I wanted to say. I've been a bit tormented recently, well, for quite a while, but like memories will pop into my head of things that I've done or people that I've hurt that I really regret and don't really see a way of, making amends. So even, and I remember, Jeff, you're saying, and I don't remember in what context, that your remorse is your forgiveness.
Yeah.
But even with this beautiful last paragraph, it is important to understand that our efforts are for the purpose of becoming subservient to and sustained by Baba's ever-flowing love grace. In the present and in the future, I still have a hard time letting go of not being very pained by my past, I guess. So I guess I just want to know that sentence is true, that your remorse is your forgiveness, and that there is a way of not feeling like you have to punish yourself forever.
Just speaking to that, because I did a lot of things in my college days that very selfish things, and they still kind of come up, and Baba kind of has said, send love in Baba's name, my name, to those things. Otherwise, they just keep repeating the same. Otherwise, I continue to cringe at the things I did. So in the present, I'm transmuting those. And so it gives you an opportunity to remember Baba, because those things do come up. And I send Baba's love in it, because otherwise it'll just keep confirming that on my memory, in my consciousness, that, oh, I did that, how embarrassing, and just send love, because also I'm using my present consciousness to look at something I did back in my college days, while I'm in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair to use my present consciousness to judge something I did way back when.
I like
And,
that. I
and
like
at the
that.
same time, yeah,
Sorry. Yeah,
yeah, you can,
to send Baba's love and grace to the person that I was and the
yeah,
actions that I did. That's
yeah,
a
how it
nice way
makes
to
you
think
feel.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Send Baba's love and name to the reaction that keeps coming up in you, you know. And the thing too is, this is one thing that Baba, here I'm blabbing on, but one of the things that Baba did is if you hadn't done those things, you wouldn't have a lot of the compassion you have today for people who have done things like that. You would have probably been critical rather than empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So Baba turns all of our misdemeanors, so to speak, into compassion for others.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Meher Prasad?
Yeah, I really like the first paragraph of this section where, Darwin gives a hint about what Baba's inner work with each of us is, basically bringing out all the buried stuff in the subconscious to the surface. And a large part of this book is about that, dealing with those buried, buried sanskaras to the surface and dealing intelligently with them. In my experience, especially in the past several months, definitely that Baba is doing that work, especially for those that we have been attached without knowing, and bringing those up and having us face that is, it's definitely not easy. I find myself really very painful to go through with those, but I also feel like Darwin says in this section, his help during that time. And I think as a result of that, this accumulation of virtue naturally just goes away, because that doesn't hold as much importance as the other things that Baba is doing internally in bringing these up to the surface. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ray?
Yeah, I'm thinking about when that's happening to me too, that all of these old memories are coming up, things that I hope no one else in the world can ever remember that I was responsible for. I just cringe, and sometimes it even goes to like shame, and like Baba wants to get to the heart of the matter, like what he did when he'd take everybody to the movies and leave in the middle of it because his work was done, because everybody was concentrating on the screen. He could get to them because they were pinpointed in their consciousness. So when you're feeling really, or when I'm feeling really remorse about something and cringing, I'm pinpointed. And if I call on Baba at that time, he's just like the movie theater, maybe using a little, Star Wars laser to get something for me and clean me up, because he can do it. I can't. So that's the way that I try and look at it. And I find comfort in that. Thank you.
Excellent. So very true, I would say.
And Becky?
Sometimes I have found it hard to forgive myself for things, but it has helped me to find those things in other people and discover that I'm able to forgive them for similar kinds of things. Actually, I don't even think of it really that consciously. Usually what I think of is, it's like I want to be able to fully love people. And so what is it that I find so unforgivable in some external situation? And by going through that and imagining myself behaving as that person does, I can kind of create a situation where I can completely understand how they did that thing, and what it would take for somebody to be under the kind of pressure or the kind of life, whatever kind of lifestyle they might have led, that would have brought them to that place, that kind of action. And then I find my ability to find compassion through that sort of, acting it out inwardly allows me to release it and to really be able to feel forgiveness. And, so it's sort of an inverted way, but it's
Beautiful. Yeah. These are all great ways to free ourselves up.
Nice.
The line about being subservient to Baba's ever-flowing love and grace, instead of being subservient to our own sanskaras, brings me back to the question of, how do you do that if Baba is not that body, not that individual that we picture him as and have pictures of, and he's not forming a religion or a particular personal mode of believing. Where is the approach to that stream? I mean, is it that Baba is showing his love by being the approach? Is that the only way in? Like, sometimes Christians talk about Jesus saying, I am the way and the truth, and no one comes to the truth but through me. Yet Baba, clearly, and many other religions say there have been many masters. And so there should be many ports of entry, in a sense, none of which would be individual or personalized.
Fortunately, I'm having trouble with the audio, but one thing I just mentioned is that Baba's personality is eternal. Jesus's personality is eternal, so we can always contact them. Buddha's personality is always there, even if their body's no longer here. You could always continue to have the companionship. But unfortunately, I am missing everything you're saying, Ryan. I mean, a lot of what you're saying, and it's a great question, I can tell. So anybody else that can respond to what Ryan is saying would be great.
There were some hands up before you made
Okay.
that request. We'll see what, Ruth, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, once I came to the center and I had this dream the night before I came to the center. It was a nightmare. And then I got to the center, and that very next night I had the same nightmare dream. So the next morning I grabbed this woman and I said, can I talk to you? And we took tea and we went, sat on a bench, and it was Ella Marks. And I told her about what was going on. And she said to me, after I got done, she said, Mara Baba said he came to bring the unconscious into the conscious, but he never does it until you have the tools for it. He will never bring something that you don't have the tools to deal with. And that completely turned me around about what internally what I was digging into, is that Baba never bring it to me until I didn't have the way to handle it. So that's important for me to know, that he will give me what I need as I need it. That was helpful. And also, as far as making amends and what I've done in the past, and what the thing I learned about making amends is that if I truly make an amends to someone, that means that I will not ever do that to that person again. So I have to really be serious about it if I'm going to make an amends to someone. But that doesn't mean I won't do it to Jeff. That just means I won't do it to Angela. So, I'm working my way slowly through. But other than that, I mean, it is a serious process making amends. I think what I wanted to really say, as far as the past and the things I have done in the past, I am still doing them today. They just have different clothes on. They're still being driven by the same things that Baba said I need to root out: the selfishness, the lust, the greed, the self-centeredness, the things that they're still the same things. They just have different, they just look different. So it's important for me to continue to be aware of my own self, to be able to root out some things in a real way. And as I suffer from them, then I know it's time to say, Baba, look at this mess that I've created, that I am. I don't want to be a mess for you. So would you help me? I don't even know what it is exactly, if it's selfishness or greed, but just, would you help me? And he does.
And Leica.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure where this is, but Baba said that somewhere, I'm hoping someone will be able to help me out here, that forgiveness, there's nothing to forgive. I mean, we're talking ultimately, right? And I remember Charmian Deuce, who was Ivy Deuce's daughter, Murshid Deuce's daughter, once told me the story of the two of them going to meet Baba for the first time. And Ivy knew right away in her heart that Baba was God. Before she ever met him, she just had the knowing, but Charmian did not. And Charmian was very protective of her mother. And Charmian was young. She was maybe early 20s or something, maybe a teenager, I'm not sure, but she went with her to protect her mother, like, oh my God, what has mom gotten herself into? And so she had a very a lot of resistance to open her heart to Baba. She was there, to kind of expose and protect her mom. And they walked in, and Ivy immediately ran to Baba and wept and crying and everything. And Charmian walked through the door, and she was like ready for bear. And Baba just shot her a glance and looked at her and said, innocence. And her whole heart just melted, and her whole being melted. And she knew when he said that to her, the way that he said it, that he was God. There was no doubt about it. And that was the doorway for her. And she said that with him saying innocence, he communicated to her the total innocence of all of creation, of which we're a part. And that was the vastness that she experienced him as God at first. And so I just wanted to say that I know it's a huge concept, and it certainly made an impression on me when she shared it, because I have a tendency to think, oh God, to judge myself a lot, harshly. And, feeling some unworthiness or whatever. But Baba has, through my journey with him, led me to believe that all those kind of feelings that I am participating in is another dance of ego that just keeps me separate from him. And I have to keep reminding myself of that when I start judging myself or others, but particularly myself, that, you know, Bob is just there waiting to love me while I am taking that on. And it's a mental thing that I'm doing that's false, and that he will help me to get out of, but it's a process. Um, so I just wanted to say that. And then as far as what Ryan said, you know, Baba, the form, he gave us his form to help us, those of us who could love his form, but it's only a doorway. You know, he says, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm nothing but a living lie. But then he says, I'm everything, you know. So all doorways, all paths to God, he's there, you know. So that's just what I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you, Leica. No, these are all valuable things to hear. Mhm.
And Anthony?
I have this responses for Ryan. When you were talking, what I felt coming up, Ryan, when you were kind of asking about like how to stay connected into that stream, into Baba's presence, and just what was coming up for me was just a lot of the little hints that he dropped about just how to keep him as your constant companion, with remembering him before and after starting any activity, with remembering his name whenever possible. And I know I've mentioned this on here before. My little system I've had for years here is having a little bit of time in the morning for a morning meditation on Baba's name and a short reading, and then doing that again in the evening also. And then during the day, I'll try to say his name whenever I can. And if it's a situation where I can't say his name because you have to talk to somebody or you have to have your mind engaged, then I'll just try to remember him before and after the activity. And I remember Jeff kind of saying one time too, to not burden yourself too much with feeling like you have to remember his name in the middle of, you know, like playing volleyball or something like that. So I guess everybody has a different way they stay plugged into the presence, but that's just some of the stuff I've done with the meditation and saying his name and before and after activities. And I've found it to be essential for me. I feel like when I start to lapse on doing those things, I feel the mind and the desires and the reactions getting much, much stronger. And at least when I'm doing those things, I feel like they're there still. And I'm like just able to float above them enough to where I only get pulled into it sometimes instead of, constantly, like if I'm not doing it. So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but that's just what came up when you were talking. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Anthony. Boy.
Yeah, just for Ryan, the thing about religion is just not to get involved in dogma. Like if you don't do this, Bob will be mad at you, and that sort of whole thing that plagues all organized. Once you get organized, there's a saying I had heard that Jesus and the devil are walking along the road, and Jesus picks up something and says, "Wow, look at this. This is really nice," and the devil says, "What is it?" And Jesus says, "It's truth. Look at it. It's nice." The devil says, "Give it to me. I'll organize it for you." So I think like it's really about that. The religious part is, being dogmatic, that someone's not real. And I tend to be this way, someone's not, I wouldn't do it like that, to follow Baba. It's just to keep that all to yourself. So I think that everything else can flow. And that's why, like Jeff pointed out about Eric's talking about the small groups, sharing your inner experiences, that keeps it really personal. So I don't know if like that helps, but
yeah,
that's my
very
comment.
good, Ray. Yeah.
J. Bob.
Thank you.
The diligent student. It is always an effort to filter out illusion and tune in to Mayor Baba's love and inner help. However, it has been my experience that Baba himself is always lovingly inspiring us to make these efforts to work within. We tend to procrastinate, thinking we will reach the goal without our doing anything, but we must make efforts. We must rise up and rebel against everything that keeps us complacent. We must grow into more mature states of consciousness and rise to the level of the real. We are all capable of heroic efforts. By making such efforts, we attract more of Mayor Baba's grace, just as diligent students who are willing to apply themselves attract more attention and help from the teacher than do uninterested, complacent students. We can awaken and evoke more of Baba's attention and help by complying with what he is trying to do with us. He works with us continuously if we have integrity of purpose and are willing to bring to the surface everything that needs to be dealt with. Mayor Baba is constantly offering his grace, but we must accept it. By inviting his intervention, we open our psyche to inner changes, to the release from samskaric blockages. By accepting his grace, we are also giving everything to him. We release our hold on the samskaric and let them go. We make a decision to die to the gross level. This entails a deep psychic revolution. We begin to understand our sanskaras and our addiction to them. We come to see how we continuously create veils over our consciousness, when through our own subjective inner efforts and Baba's grace, the samskaric veils become transparent. They no longer tyrannize us.
Beautiful. Yeah.
When we have to filter out the illusion and turn into Meher Baba's love and inner help, what came to me on that is the illusion that's on many of our consciences right now, the upcoming elections. And whichever side we're on, because as Baba lovers, we're all over the place, right? But it's all in Baba's hands, and it is an illusion. And if we can recognize, what I've learned for me is that when I recognize that this is Baba's work, and he is trying to bring to the surface everything that he wants to wash away, and just leave it in his hands and not get upset or not get real involved in, oh, this has got to happen or this has got to happen. It helps. And I think Baba is so much present right now, not only with the elections, with everything that's going on, but I know the elections are, pretty prominent in our minds right now. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, I agree. What elections are you talking about?
The inner path. By clawing our way through step by step, we get more light, more inspiration, and more insight as we go along. The veils fall away, and our inner vision becomes clearer and clearer. Our faith turns into conviction, inner sight becomes illumination. We experience a glorious expansion of consciousness. We become aware of the fact that we are indeed spirit. This is the inner path. As we can see, this inner work is partly our job and partly the master's. His part is to remove our veils of illusion so that we become more and more aware of the truth. And our part is to cooperate with his help and to cease creating more veils that bind us to illusion and keep us from seeing the truth of our own being. But in the last analysis, the wiping out of our inner impediments is an act of the Master's grace. Even our own efforts are precipitated by him. In fact, he is doing it all himself. We think that we are the doer, but he is really the doer. It is he himself who is awakening himself in us.
What do you think he means that our part is to cooperate and to cease creating more veils that bind us to illusion? What do you think he means by that? Us sort of doing it again, something that it's a bad habit. He's fixed something and then we still go back and do it. It's like used to be hooked on cocaine, and then you go looking for it again or something. What do you think that he means by that?
Yeah, anybody can answer, but I think you're right there. Looks like we got Larice there.
Yeah, I think the answer is in the previous section, the last paragraph. We begin to understand our sanskaras and our addiction to them. So it's saying that all the stuff that I'm programmed with, and some of it, my sanskaras, but also, there's a lot of things that people can be addicted to just in the real world too, which create more sanskaras. So, he's saying we're addicted to this stuff. We're addicted to illusion, I think is what I think partly of what he's saying. And we need to do the work to give it to Baba. But then I love this. It's like clawing our way through step by step. We get more light, more inspiration, more insight to go along. The veils fall away. It's kind of like he just laid it out how bad it is. We're addicted to this stuff. We're addicted to our sanskaras. We're addicted to. So and then it's like, he's doing it all. He's awakening things. It's kind of nice. It's like, oh, I can just let go and with the consciousness of letting Baba in. It's really about me being willing, right? It's really about the willingness. And then he does it. He takes care of it. But the problem is when I'm in the addiction of the sanskara, I forget about Baba. So for me, it's about remembering Baba, because then the grace comes. It's just really about remembering him. For me, anyway, thanks.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Jeff Asbell?
Good.
So I'm wondering if any of us can share an example of that. I'll share one which has just come to me as we're talking. I used to be a sugarholic. I loved cake. I loved sweets. I loved cookies. It was my comfort food. If I get a little bit anxious or stressed out, that cake did it. And of course, sugar blues, you go way up, you go way down. So very briefly, about a year ago, I was 240 pounds. I thought I was going to go on a non-gluten diet. I saw a functional nutrition doctor. I said, put me on a non-gluten diet, because I thought that was the best. So 3 months later, I took off 20 pounds because I stopped all the sugar and the sweets. I just wanted to get into a healthy diet. Then I said, Dr. Kerouac, not related to Jack Kerouac, what is the best diet for me? He said, a non-gluten diet. I said to myself, you did me such a great favor. You never asked me from the very beginning, what diet should I be on? So in a way, I tricked myself. I have to say, Baba, thank you for tricking me into tricking me. And then I took off another 20 pounds. So I'm now 180, a little bit more than I was in high school, because I said, people have these beautiful shake drinks in the morning. I want to have a shake drink, but not put on the weight. So I ordered from VitaCost, great place to get your same vitamins at 40% off. I ordered beet powder, ginger root powder, cardamom powder, green grass powder, about 6 or 7 other powders, and I blended them in to this beautiful drink. And I put a little bit of elderberry juice, and I put that on my cereal. And I took my wife Rachel's cereal, cut it down by 70%, and that liquid, beautiful drink, which I heat in the microwave, which may not be the most healthiest, I took off that weight. So I say, thank you, Baba. I've been working so hard to let go of that addiction. I'd be okay for a couple of years. I'd go back. Now, my sweet is in the evening, a little yogurt, cut up apple or pear, little blueberries, handful of cashews, and I am the happiest camper. That's a small, small thing, but it's a huge thing for me. I wonder if anybody had, because what you just read a second ago is very important. And I've never quite, it was read, we give our will over to Baba and Baba does it. This was an example. I answered my own question without realizing it. But are there any this is huge, Jeffrey, what are you talking about? But does anybody have any other examples they can share? Forgive my enthusiasm, but I'd really like to really get that few sentences. I, as Baba says, will do it. I will do it. I'll take off the veils. So in a way, that veil was taken off. I wanted to get away from, anyway, are there any other people who can share an example of Baba doing and you're surrendering and somehow letting it?
Julie had her hand up.
Yeah.
Julie?
I'm getting there because I try to hide.
Ah,
Okay.
we see you.
So I used my will not too long ago. Of course, it was Baba's words. It had to be. And he said, I will not act in anger. Well, it is just like I threw that in the dooney. It was on and on and on with discriminating my motives. What was your motive here? And what, oh, you want to do that? Oh, is that out of anger? Or, where did that come from? And oh, you better not do it. So it was just really at least 2 weeks full of, I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was anger. It felt like anger. And so then there was always the encouragement to act. So anger is a very powerful energy, which will help you act in any way you want to act. And so that's my example. It just came up. Baba says, don't act in anger. Well, I've never tried that before. I've never willed it. And once I did, boy, things started to move. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really have trouble distinguishing sometimes. Like, oh, you're going to do this little thing. Oh, where is that coming from? Is that coming from that feeling you had before you were a little bit piqued about something, or is it not about that? It's really not easy to distinguish some of these things.
Yeah, no, we're right with you on these things. The camera comes up a lot closer.
So that's my example, and I'm still working on it because I know this is so deep I have to look at every motive and make
Yeah.
sure that it's nothing's out of anger. It's just, okay, I'm just proceeding as somebody who cares would proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, and Baba says anger is is the deepest. It's on the mental level, and he said you need the master's grace with that. You can give up lust and greed by willpower, but anger is very deep.
And it is it's intriguing. It is to me. I like things where I have to really dig and go deeper. So Baba picked a good one for me. So I'm not just sitting here at home alone. I'm working hard.
Good. So we won't get much anger from you in the future, we hope.
You won't hear it.
Yeah.
It'll still be there, but there won't be anything noticeable.
Good.
Wow, that's a strong addiction to work on. And Ray, go ahead.
It was just in response to Jeff. Congratulations, Jeff. What I've been doing in the past 9 months, especially, I ask Baba, and then what's going on, and then he'll say something to me, and I'll ask him the same thing a little later, and then I'll realize, wait a minute now, I've been sort of hearing the immediate response is something I don't want to hear, but I started following things, and I've changed my way of eating also. And it's been like a wonderful thing. And just wanted to say that, and that I followed and ended prompting myself, and so happy to hear your news. That's just great. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Peter Salamasi.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, this is for Jeff as well. I was really moved by what you shared, and let's just say, without going into what the issue is, I'm realizing more and more I have a lot of food issues and weight issues. And one thing I found when I switched, and I call this all Baba anyway, it was a very letting go process, is that when I switched off of soda, I did food substitution to a tea, which works seamlessly to the point where several days later, I'm like, wow, I let go. I didn't drink soda, haven't thought of drinking soda, no craving for drinking soda. I was like, I'll take that any day of the week. And then when I switched to a heavy metal detox smoothie, because I have a lot of pathogens in my system, heavy metals in my system, and I have EBV in my system, I did a smoothie, and lo and behold, what a practitioner taught me is get off of eggs. And I had 3 eggs a day. And again, I filled myself up with a juice and a smoothie. And I realized, wow, I haven't had eggs in days. And the transition again was seamless. And to me, the path is arduous. I have a regular routine I do every day, or at least 5-6 days a week. But to me, the weight balancing, it is challenging. And I'm at a point now where, let's just say, the detoxing, I think, is going well. And I'm constantly switching and refining what I do with that. And I want to see a doctor to see where I'm at. But oftentimes when I look at the strength is all Meher Baba, the knowledge is all Meher Baba. And when I think of where the Baba is in all this, I look at the prayer, you alone exist. It's all him anyway, period, end of story. The trick is remembering that it's all Meher Baba. And I'm trying to think of how to like wrap this up, because I'm really, when I look at where I am in some respects with weight, I don't see a victory. I don't see a way I can beat it. But I want to hold out hope that it won't matter, that I can get healthier. In some respects, I'm doing fabulously well. I'm just looking at the time because, oh, shoot. In some respects, I'm doing fabulously well. And it is arduous. In other things, which I don't have a whole lot of hope, I'm holding out for later on to see the hope maybe backdoor me like it has so many times before. And okay, and I'll stop it at that. Thank you. Pass.
Yeah. Thank you. You don't look overweight, but hey,
underweight. It's I'm almost underweight. I'm like really thin. Yeah. Pass.
So we're kind of coming down to the end, and I had asked Shraddha to read. Some of you weren't here at the before 5:30, and she read this. This is from Baba, a kind of a rare quote, and it kind of encapsulates what we're doing here.
You want me to go ahead and read, Jeff?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, let me mention too, anybody sometime after 7, we'll have a heart-centered meditation for anyone who wants to be a part of that. It's a brief thing, but very powerful and full of Baba. So anyway, yeah, go ahead, Shraddha. These are Baba's words.
And it is titled Transform Lower Self into Higher Self. Someone asked Hafiz what spirituality meant, and he answered in one ode. Unless you go against your lower self, you cannot unite with your higher self. Now, what is the lower self? That which makes you think you are small. That which makes you feel that you are not satisfied, not happy. That which makes others see you as small. So the meaning of going against the lower self is to transform this in quite the opposite direction. Be that which makes you look big and makes others see you as big. Remain pleased and contented, happy and satisfied. When you are displeased, unhappy, or upset, and moody, it is your lower self asserting itself. People always put the blame for their dissatisfaction and suffering on others. But the fact is, when one suffers, it is one's own fault. Mansari became excited, she was angry and suffered. And she laid it all on Elizabeth, Norina, and Lucky. But if she had gone beyond the lower self, she would have taken it calmly, swallowed it, and remained unaffected. If you are firm, nothing will upset you. If you try, you will surely have it. I do not want any repression, but I do want transformation. I never for one moment say that you must not get angry. Don't be confused. You must get angry when the occasion arises. But at once, you must get it out of your head. If you're not hungry, to fast has no meaning. This is from Lord Meher, page 2143, and it ends in another quote which reads, spiritual freedom has to be won by oneself for oneself, through watchful and unfailing war against the lower self and the lower desires.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Shraddha. Jai Baba.
Thank
Let's
you.
have a few moments of silence. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
So we only have 2 pages left in the book and a little bio of Darwin left. So perhaps we could next time also talk about how going through the book
has transformed you at all? This is the 31st session, so that's 31 weeks
Wow.
we've been together. Next time will be 32 weeks. We could maybe have a little bit of a wrap up. And then, fingers crossed, Jeff, maybe
Yeah.
we could continue, as Mayor Prasad says, continue from the beginning.
Shall we have a Halloween party next week?
Oh, yes, shall we?
We should come in costume.
Shall we come as our lower self or higher self?
Yeah.
They look exactly the same. You know, Baba once said that he was giving a darshan and people were coming up and bowing to him and going and all in line. And Baba said to one of the mandalin next to him, someone can come up as man and leave as God and you wouldn't even know it.
Hey, Jeff, you had some funny stories about wearing a mask with Mansari and on the bus.
Well, I'll just mention this. Just before I went to India one time, I'm getting a little echo. Well, anyway, it was just after Halloween, so they had these masks selling them, you know, for dirt cheap. And I got one, and one that completely covered your head with a shock of white hair and cut out for your eyes. And it was this real lascivious, you know, really a lecherous kind of disreputable guy, you know. And so I kind of forgot about it, but on my way up to the tomb for the first time, I got at the top of the hill and Mansari was there, you know, under the portico. She was the attendant. And so I greeted her and I went in and bowed at the tomb, you know, at the marble and everything. And then I realized I've got this mask. So I put this mask on and I came out as this kind of twisted old man. And Mansari, who was courageous, you know, she's kind of fearless, but she was like, she took one look at this ghoul and she, instead of, you know, normally go Jai Baba, she was using like a weapon, Jai Baba, Jai Baba, Jai Baba, backing up along the tomb. And, you know, because, I mean, where did this guy come from? There was nobody around. And suddenly this ghoul comes out of Baba's tomb. I ripped it off and everything. I really got her. Because there have been rumors that, you know, these strange beings sometimes emerge or show up around the tomb. And this was this was proof positive, you know, that there are such characters. So I got a lot of mileage out of that mask, but that's only one part of it. Yeah, I got some of the mandali to wear that mask, and it's hilarious. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
So like I say, anybody that after a bit, we'll hang out a little bit, and then Stu, anybody wants to stay on will lead us on a heart-centered meditation. Yeah. I'll tell you something, kind of how things are today at the tomb and how they were way back when. When I went first to India, this is in the early 70s, Mansari heard that this buddy of mine and I, Denny Moore and I, when we were in junior high, we could walk on our hands and we could walk all over, upstairs and you know, across all sorts of like uneven surface and everything. Anyway, she got the idea. This is Mansari. She was about like 4'6". She wanted us to go in and take Baba's darshan on our hands. I mean, our hands are on the ground and our feet are up above. And so we, she made sure that there were no Easterners coming up the hill, nobody around. And so we got up on our hands, and my buddy went over and stepped over the threshold and everything. And we were so good. He went all the way down to the floor, right in front of the marble, and he went over the corner, and I crept over and went in and everything. We came out, and Mansara was absolutely thrilled. But the whole time she's worried that some, Easterner that's a little more, who wouldn't be thinking of any such thing, would be coming up the hill. But I think that's the first time that anybody in any of the Advents has taken darshan at the tomb of the Avatar on their hands. So that's how kind of informal and very personal and natural it was. And of course, things change. But I think Baba kind of enjoys these types of things, and sometimes the conventional behavior is might not be as entertaining. Yeah. But we'll get together next week and see if you folks want to, continue, and whether you want to keep it still an hour and a half or do an hour. Anyway, if there are any suggestions for how to do this.
There are many suggestions in the chat, Jeff.
Oh, okay, good. So I don't know how to retrieve the things in the chat, but I'll try to do this at the end of this. I wouldn't know how to do it afterwards.
Jeff,
Yeah.
you go into the chat, and as long as Angela has enabled it, there's three, as if you were going to give a chat to somebody, there's three little dots to the right, and you click those and they'll allow you to save the chat, and it will download it. The whole chat will download into your computer.
Oh.
You just have to do it before you sign out, obviously.
Okay.
But you have to talk with Angela because she has to enable that people can do that.
Yeah.
Angela is saying just read it aloud to Jeff.
It's enabled, and whenever I save a video, it automatically saves chat as well. I can forward it to him. But the suggestions aren't what he was thinking. I think he was hoping that we could talk about whether we wanted to be an hour or an hour and a half or whatever.
Or the format, if there's any change in the format. But it's wonderful. I find it just very invaluable to hear everybody's unique approaches to remembering Baba and working with problems that come up in our lives. And as I said at the beginning, we're all on the same boat, but these are our passengers. We're having a chance to meet the rest of the people on the boat. We're not just in our cabinets. Yeah. Any questions? Anybody have any questions or anything?
Everyone's grieving.
What would you like to do, Jeff?
I kind of, what can I say? I just think it's very invaluable. I mean, it'd be, because many people, I mean, I'm in Myrtle Beach, there are Baba people all over the place, but many people live in places where, or like Patty said, she doesn't have, there aren't a whole lot of Baba people around, especially in a pandemic. And here you get a chance, every day if you want to connect with your fellow Baba people. And Baba said one of the high roads to surrendering to God is to live in the company of lovers of God.
Right.
And
Jeff, I just want to shout out too to the Circle of Friends and Angela and you for allowing these formats and creating them, because they're just magnificent to keep the thread of his love stimulating and moving through everybody, and really allowing us to grow inwardly towards him so much easier than it was the first 50 years for me. I mean, this year has happened, and it's just like, there was a word everybody was talking about just recently where things have sped up, or the word is not sped up, but it's something where there was one word that everybody liked to use. And it seems like it's just reverberating so much deeper and richer.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, definitely.
I totally agree with that too. I feel like 2020 has totally been a silver lining.
Yes, it's a silver lining. I had actually, somebody said it was the best year of his life this year. I'm just on the phone yesterday and I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Because he could be with Baba so much more.
Well, we can thank Angela and the Circle of Friends. They have risen to the occasion. Wow.
Yep.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she wrote me in on this.
Lassoed you, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. No, I think it's so helpful to find out that, I go through and struggled with, everybody else is dealing with some version of the same thing. So you're definitely not isolated at all. We're all, we're all making our way and overlap in many ways. There's, the last message that Baba gave on the alphabet board, where he said that we would be held together by internal links.
Yes.
And he didn't say just internal links with him, but with each other.
Yeah.
This is our support system for the next 700 years. All these kind of links are, which we will need, because we're going to go off the deep end at times, and there's going to be somebody that from this gallery that reaches down and gets you at the last moment. So and we keep running into each other lifetime after lifetime. This isn't the first time we've been on a gallery screen, but not the first time we've been together. Yeah. We've got Ann Ross there. Her mother met Baba. Mother and father met Baba back in 31. So now she has her kids, and everything just keeps going decade after decade.
She met him too.
Huh?
She met Baba too.
Yeah, and she met Baba, and beautiful. So anyway, in just a little bit, we'll get Stuart to lead us on this kind of meditation that Stu leads. You can get the real feeling side of what Darwin is talking about. It's just accessing the love that is right there, and he has a way of doing it. Yeah.
Jeff, I just want to say I can remember remembering in New Jersey, like the meetings that were had way back in the early 70s and mid 70s. And my goodness, I mean, to find a group of people that were openly talking about Baba and God was like an oasis, and just such a unusual treat, where you could just be totally open and talk about it. And because I couldn't do that with most of the people that I met and stuff like that. And now to be full circle where we're all just so focused on Baba together and able to share all this stuff, it just feels like a miracle. And to have you with so much firsthand information from Darwin and a couple of other people too, but it just I've known you for a long time, but you have like flowered into something very different than you used to be. You always had a lot of wisdom and a lot of direct information, but I don't know, you know, Baba's Next Wave, it's like, holy cow, you're just so good at, you know, bringing this thing around and giving us the platform for all of us to be so connected and so open and sharing. And I mean, to have this with all these people, it's just all over the world. It's like a miracle. It's fantastic. Thank you.
You folks speak so beautifully about your life. I mean, it's with Baba. I mean, it's really. But yeah, I was fortunate. I didn't hesitate to ask questions. So what you hear from me are things that I extracted from the Mandali and from Darwin. I think of Darwin, you know, it's like a wine barrel full of this rare wine, and we just kind of took crowbars and punched holes in the side of it, and got anything we could. Otherwise, he was quite content just to, you know, just to kind of sit there and be with Baba. But we found by asking questions, we got a whole lot of this interior side of what it is to follow Baba. But he, you know, it wasn't like he was out there, you know, sharing this stuff without somebody prompting him to do it. And yeah. So,
no accidents.
Was that?
There are no accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Stu around? Oh, there he is. Okay, there's Stu. So let's you'll enjoy this. This is a valuable thing. So Stu, it's over to you.
Okay, J Bob, everybody. So just close your eyes and settle into wherever you're sitting or laying. And for this time in this meditation journey, we'll slip away from the world even a little more right now. And start to breathe into your belly, slowly and deeply. And we'll keep up that breathing throughout. And bring your attention to your heart and your heart space, and including the area below your heart. Now, the Sufis talk of the Del. And just check in there, see how you feel with your heart. And breathe into your heart and your heart space. And this is the home in you of your link with Mayor Baba and his infinite love, the source of his infinite love in you. And breathe into that love. And just take note of whatever you might see and feel as you do this. And keep breathing into your heart and the love. We all have the connection within us with the source of infinite, unending love. And now picture somebody, a person, even a group, who you would like to focus and share Baba's infinite love with. And breathe in as you get an image of them. See them before you. And see their heart and their heart space. And let your heart guide you as to who this is. It could be somebody you have conflict with or have, somebody you know is struggling, somebody you already love a lot and would just like to share more love with. But let your heart guide you with whoever comes up. And notice whatever you might see and feel as you see them and their heart space within. And now start to see Baba's infinite love just flowing into their heart and their heart space. And breathe in as you see this love flowing, this endless, unstoppable love. And I see this warm, delicious, liquid golden light and it's generously and gradually filling every bit of their heart. All the way to the back and the bottom. Every little nook and cranny, and it's soothing, fulfilling, forgiving, inspiring love. And see this flowing love overflowing from their heart and heart space, and now flowing all the way through their whole being, every bit of them. It's pure, healing, soothing love. And keep breathing in as you see this love flowing. And know that this love can do wonders. You never know. And let's see the infinite love flowing generously into their heart and all their being. We'll see this for one more minute. And keep breathing in. And now let's give thanks that we can focus and see sharing Baba's infinite love, and we can direct the power of our intention to help do that. And know that you can return here again and again. So let's bid farewell for now to whoever you've chosen, and gently bring your attention back to your own heart and heart space. And breathe in as you settle in there. And notice what you might see and feel. And now start to picture Mayor Baba's infinite love, soothing, healing, forgiving love flowing into your own heart space and filling it, filling every bit of your heart and your heart space. Without measure. And breathe in as you see and feel this love just flow into you. And see it overflowing from your heart and your heart space and flowing right through, just without end, soothingly. And now filling your whole being. It's cleansing, healing, forgiving. And let yourself drink of this infinite love. Which is always there for us. And notice now what you might see and feel as this infinite love flows into you and through you. And know that you can come back here again and again and let your heart drink. And let's take one more drink. And again, no, we can keep returning here. And let's give thanks for Mayor Baba's love and how he shares it with us generously. And now gently start to bring your awareness back to where you're sitting or laying. And gently your awareness of your surroundings. And take a few moments to adjust, and whenever you're ready, open your eyes. And if anybody's so disposed to share anything, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Stuart. I'd like to say that with all of the beautiful energy that gets built up during effort and grace, this feels like then doing something with it, like in service. So it's like love with power equals service, or compassion and wisdom and action. So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, what a wonderful thing to say, Cindy. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to make that directly clear right now. I'm in Colorado, I'm in Boulder, and we're having just in the last 2 days, a lot of fire here, and it's not a good scene at all, but I used the opportunity to send Baba's love to the firefighters. And so it was like what Cindy just said, and I could feel how there was more strength because of all of us being here. But I also felt like it wasn't like I was sending Baba's love. It was more like Baba's love was already there, and I was just recognizing it or seeing. I don't know. I don't know how to say it very clearly, but that acknowledging it, that's what I think the word I want to say is. I was acknowledging what is. And so thank you, everybody, for that.
Yeah.
Sharing. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's wonderful comments, Janet. And I know about the fires. I certainly wish the best out there. But there's a lot of power to us focusing too. you know, us coming together and doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, remember those kids' books where you could rub the rub the book and you get the scent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it allows Baba to bring it out.
Yeah, I didn't feel like as if I felt that it was really valuable, but it was sort of like exactly like what you're saying, Jeff, that it brought out the sense of what was there and made it more more real, more accessible, perhaps.
Yeah.
The word. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes it shine a little bit. Gives it some glows a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. So that felt very meaningful on many levels. Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. I wanted to share something that happened in case from a previous one of these meditations, I had sent the love to my mother, and then there were events that happened because I did that. I had a dream, I did inquiry, and there was information about my mother that came to me. So there was a tremendous shift. So I found that the dream was that she wasn't the mother that I was born to, somehow made a change. So then I had to deliberate on that, or I did deliberate on that. And finally it came that when she went to Iran and visited Hafiz's tomb, she had changed. So all of that came out of this meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's amazing.
It was amazing.
So you mean she wasn't the mother you were born to? She kind of became somebody else? Is that what you?
She must have gotten a perfect master spiritual charge and changed all of our lives.
Wow. Wow, what a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful story.
So thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That's marvelous.
Question for Julie, who just spoke, and I'm just wondering, how old were you, Julie, when your mother made that pilgrimage? Did you find that out?
I was 20.
Wow.
And but the dream seemed like maybe I was younger than that. So it had this huge impact of there was something important I didn't know. And then, well, my dad had also gone, but I don't know why, when I did this meditation with my mother, the visit to Hafiz's tomb changed her completely. And I didn't get anything like that about my dad. So, yeah, so, I mean, shocking. I mean, something I never realized where, you know, because Erich had once said that phrase about, I keep forgetting what it is, like parental felicity, that I got it from my parents, but the spiritual impetus, but I brought them to Baba. So I never did understand that until this meditation brought it up to me, that she actually brought this huge amount of spiritual charge back with her. And then I went on this tremendous journey to find Baba. and then brought him back to her. So it came full circle. It was very beautiful.
Wow.
Wow,
Thank you so much.
that's amazing.
Thanks for asking.
And she's still alive, Julie?
Yeah, she's still here in Arizona, and she really has changed. Of course, that's been quite a lot of years. We need these years to change, but her ability to be self-sacrificing has grown from nothing to an overwhelming degree.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is. It's the Baba, the Hafiz brought her, opened her. I just think this is amazing that Baba does so much with us. And of course, you look at his life and how much he did with all different groups of people, and always on the go. And that's what he's doing with us. He's always on the go.
Yeah, remarkable. That's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, that must be why my dad got that stint in Iran. So they both made the trip to the master's tomb to accept the grace, and then they could recognize Baba when they found out about him.
You should write this up somehow.
Okay, I'll write a little story up. It is truly remarkable.
It is, yeah.
Julie?
Yeah.
Hey, can you, well, maybe some other time, it would be nice to share that little story of your dad at the tomb.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful little story. Because my dad, when I found Baba, then it had been a couple years. So I started, inculcating my parents, leaving photos around their house and so on. And they finally agreed to come to India with me. And my dad was sort of non-committal. So I knew that. And so I was watching, what was going to happen with my dad. So I think we were there for 3 weeks, and after, it was definitely just the first week. Maybe after 4 days, after jet lag and all that, he took a trip. He walked up the hill. We were at MPC. And I don't know if anyone walked with him, but his story is that no one else was at the tomb. He arrived and there was no overseer. There was no one watching, no one giving prasad. And he walked into the tomb, and the voice was there saying, "Hello, hello." And he was so startled. He looked everywhere. He came out, he went back in. And for him, that was the revelation that Baba was God. And our stories are also different. In his case, he would come home from work when, I was a kid, probably till I went to college. And he would come in and say, "Hello, hello," when he came home from work. So for him, it was a stunning revelation of the omniscience of the avatar.
Beautiful.
Just from then on, he knew. It was like an arrow to the heart.
Yeah. So beautiful. No, I was rooming with him at the time too.
Wow.
MPC, yeah.
Did you notice anything after that? Did he tell you the story?
I think he
No.
did.
Yeah.
But he was pretty nicely disposed toward Baba. I know. It didn't seem like he was trying to make up his mind about anything.
That was beautiful. And we packed that trip. We packed it with the caves and Sai Baba's tomb and Upasni and maybe that was enough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Baba house in Pune and a nice hotel in Pune for these Western folks.
Yeah.
But they've never wanted to go back. They, for me, I have to keep going back to refresh the essence in my heart. And they're just solid. They are solid Baba lovers. They're like, why should we go anywhere? He's right here.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, Stu, anyone else have anything about that happened in their meditation that they might want to share? You really feel, though, that something is happening, definitely happening. That's the beautiful thing.
It's an effortless love.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a meditation that just the following the words, your heart just does the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a wonderful word to hear, Julie, the effortless.
Yeah.
It's more effortless. It's really indescribable. The process happening, and like someone said, because we're all doing it together.
Yeah.
And we've just opened our hearts and been very genuine and sincere for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's the effortless after the effort and grace.
Yeah. It's the effortless and grace.
Yeah.
It's a new book.
You have to write it.
You could call the next session of this meeting effortless and grace.
Yeah. Dan, Jane Montgomery accidentally kind of butt called me out of nowhere.
Okay.
But I talked with her, and she says she gets to see you over there in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Jane and I will usually get together when she comes into town to do shopping and also pick up supplies, materials. And right now she's working out a lot of samples of tile and different materials for the work on those houses.
Yeah.
So she's going to different distributors, but we'll meet up for lunch, and it's a great Baba meeting when we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is she's working at the Heartland Center in Oklahoma. She's the caretaker of it.
Who's the caretaker?
A woman named Jane Montgomery.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, Rosalie is eating there, and it only inspiring me. But anyway, yeah, great to see all of you, and we'll meet next week. And we've got like maybe one page left. Yeah. But wonderful to see you, Terry, and Rosalie, all you, Julie, always, and Marinaz. Can you, all we see is a little rectangle there, little nameplate. She's from Connecticut. If it's the Marinaz I'm thinking of. Anyway.
Thank you so
What about-
much.
Katie Lawton, is Katie there? She has a couple of wonderful kids, and I'm sure she's probably making dinner. Anyway, I will see you guys. And yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you,
Thank
Stu.
you.
Thanks
Thank you,
again.
everyone.
Have a
Okay.
Yeah.
You all.
hey, Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Thank you,
Baba.
Baba, for all of this. Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you,
yeah,
Baba.
Katie. Jay Baba.
Beautiful.
Hey, Baba.
Jay Baba.
Jay Baba.
Jay Baba.